to you by OptionsHouse. So, how's everyone doing this morning? Joe, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, Joel. How are you today?
Well, that's a very complicated question.
Oh, did something happen over the weekend?
Yeah. I attended the Michigan Ohio State football game, my 21st one, and it was a good game until about almost the final play.
More gridiron grumbling.
Went
Yep,
went for the
yep.
2-pointer. The word travels even to Canada on this one, Joel.
Hey, Joel, it looks like your screen is a little off center there in the live stream. Could you fix that really quick?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the good news is that I had a tailgate with about 50 people. Served scrambled eggs, French toast, a little bit of pre-game cocktails, hot chocolate, peppermint schnapps, Kahlua, and coffee, and so that went. The tailgate went well, and most of the game went well. But
Sounds like a Mad Men party.
yeah, it was. It was pretty good. And Shaky Jake's back in the house. Jake, you were gone for a few days. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. Made it out to Charlottesville, Virginia. I actually went up in a hot air balloon above the mountains. So that was pretty awesome. Never done that before.
And Slavamon's a little is a
Yo,
little quiet this morning, but we're gonna get him going. We're gonna get him going.
it's just a quiet Monday.
Actually, it's not even that much of a quiet Monday. The market's quiet here, Brent, but I'll tell you, a lot of analyst action here today. The analysts, they had busy Thanksgiving here because they came back with
Earning their pay.
downgrading shoes on. Holy cow. Lots of major upgrades and downgrades here today. We'll get to those in a second. First of all, the S&P futures, just to give you a little bit of coverage here, we are trading up a buck. It's an exciting Monday. 1807.75 the high, 1801.75 the low. 1805 is where we're trading. Joel, what is the story? I know you were getting a little bit bearish there when you were looking at the charts over the weekend. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, it's been long. It's been a long time since I called the 47th top in the market, but but this time I actually have technical reasons and technical validation for my analysis.
Okay, give me your technical reasons why we're having the top. You're at the Joel Alconin top for the 47th time.
Okay, we've had this run up. Okay, and I'm just basing it on one simple thing, and it's the consolidation of the closes that we've had. We've had 5 consecutive closes, basically within a 3-point range.
Okay,
So
show us on the chart. Let's
yeah,
see.
show us on the chart here. Let's see if we can blow it up a little bit. All-time high close, 1804.50. Closed at 1804 yesterday. Couple closes at 2.5, and 1.25. Couple lows in that area. I'm just saying the market is trying to decide here. It's taking a breather. We've had a huge move up, so the trend is still up. But I think we cracked that $1,800 level anytime during this week, and we could get a prolonged sell-off. And I'm just basing it on the consolidation of the closes.
But your bullish argument would be that this consolidation of the closes, everybody was kind of quiet last week, full of turkey. They may come in here this morning, see all this consolidation, and say, oh, this is the base we're forming to propel us higher here. What's your argument with there?
You mean the correct argument?
The correct argument.
No, I'm just, waiting for the pullback. So, buy on the dip. And I've just been waiting for the dip here since we broke out of that 1767 level. We did have a similar consolidation pattern going back a month or so ago around the 1767 level. I think actually when we had St. Lucci on, he had talked about, that consolidation and the closes of that area, then the breakout above it, and I think he played the
Financials.
XLF, the financials of it. So maybe we can get St. Lucie on this week to see if he's turning the stone here either. But it's just based on all these closes in the same area. It's very rare. I just want to reiterate, it's very rare to see 5 closes within 3 points in the S&P 500.
We're definitely winding up to do something. I agree with you. And obviously, yes, our last week is historically a lighter trading week. It's historically a period where you might see some consolidation because traders simply aren't trading. So I'd be surprised if we actually close in that area here today on the Monday. I think they're going to come either with their buying shoes on or their selling shoes on. Like you said, if they breach 1800, it could get interesting. Although I wouldn't say if it goes like 1798, 1797. You need to significantly see this thing through 1800 because a lot of times they like it to take it through the big numbers, hit some stops, and then take it the other way. So just be aware of that. If you are playing the bearish argument, we take out that 1800, get down to like 1796 or something, we get back up over 1800, you want to be cautious on those shorts because the thing can turn and catch you short in a hurry. We saw that, on a few stocks last week when we were talking, like the Tesla breakdown that became a fake down, the Facebook turn and reversal there, and it started to show some strength here too. So sometimes when these things do start to break down, if they don't get follow through immediately and start seeing some significant selling pressure coming in, that's a word of caution to the shorts too. Also, gold here, though, Joel, I don't know what to say about this. This just goes down. It seems like every day we're down another $14 or $13.10 in gold here. We're trading $12.37 right now. What's the technical saying on gold?
It gave you a pretty good setup here. It had multiple highs in the 1255, 1260 area. I believe it had, let me pull up the chart here to get a look at it. What you had was 4 or 5 highs between 1253 and 1257. Made a couple runs to get through that. Had been holding 1240 on the downside. We've broken down through that level. I mean, there's just no driver as long as this market continues to go up. I mean, why is gold? I mean, there's no wars. There's no, there's nothing going on to, to drive this thing. And now we're looking at 1233 as a low we've hit in the session so far today. I'm looking for the next major support level to be at 1225.80. That was our low on the 26th.
JH3 from the chat's just asking a question, just asking, how can you tell the difference between stop running algos and a normal sell-off or a real sell-off? I know Sanglucci would say, look at the size in the tape. I probably would say the same, and it's difficult in this kind of tape. There isn't the kind of size. Institutions don't show their hands nearly as much. But sometimes on some bigger stocks, you will see some significant size, like size orders start to come into the tape. And typically your high frequency traders aren't using size orders. They're moving it around. When the liquidity is lower or there's just not a lot of action, they can easily move the stocks around. That's why you see on these, I know Joe Saluzzi always used to call it the HFT. What did he call the vice grip, he would call it, when you get in that middle of the day and the stocks aren't going anywhere, it's just chopping around, and basically it's just high frequency traders just moving price, hitting stops, and trying to scalp pennies here. Significant sell-off is different. You'll see on the tape itself more size prints. You'll see size coming into the book. You'll see a little bit more fear out there. And what do you look at, Joel, when you're looking at the tape there and trying to determine whether this sell-off's real or not?
I don't even look at the tape anymore.
Don't even look because it is littered with it. Like back in the day, if we go back 10 or 15 years ago, you're right. You could see the big size coming in. That's how you could look at when the real sellers were coming in, the big money, and they do break. And the problem is institutions obviously break up their orders in these small child orders now. So it is hidden a little bit more, but still you can still see some.
What do you consider size, Dennis? I mean, what do you consider size?
Well, it depends on the stock.
5,000 shares.
Well, honestly, and now you do. When you see 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares coming out in something, you don't see 50,000 shares coming out anymore like you did, or 100,000 shares. Rare to see 100,000 shares coming out anymore, and all of a sudden, get me done on 100. I need to get done now because they break them up. So yeah, you honestly 50. It depends on the stock. But if I saw on Facebook or something, and you see this 20,000 share order come in the book, it's sizable now. It can get done, but that's telling me it's somebody significant. And you want to see it real too. You don't want to see it flash 20,000 and then cancel. A lot of times it's distinguishing between what's real and what's not. It's just by how the action is. They'll show 20, then they'll move it. They'll show 20 outside the book and they'll move it. And that's just kind of almost trying to just make you perceive that there's size there. When you see 20 or 30,000 shares, it starts getting ticked away and pecked away, and it's counting down. That's when the size is real, and that's when obviously it can be a little bit more significant. But it is a lot trickier. JH3, it is a lot trickier than it used to be.
And also, I mean, and I'm just dating myself again here, but there would have been times when you would get short, 4,000 shares of a stock, 5,000 shares, then you see trip nines on the offer.
Oh yeah,
And you're like, oh
yeah.
my God, it's like
The end of the world.
I did say my prayers last night, and then you could see, the trip nines, maybe they knock out 30 or 40,000 shares, and then they'd still have trip nines there, so
yeah,
that it was big, and then you would have to pace it down if you wanted to get out of the trade. You could throw some bids out lower, instead of just having the trip nines. I don't know when's the last time you saw trip nines on
You don't
something.
see that anymore.
You don't see anymore.
it. Nope.
And then, you see trip nines and you see 20, 30, 50, you start seeing the prints, then hey, you say, okay, I'll participate here. The guy may come in with another, 100,000 or whatever, but no, it's and now, I mean, I guess the significant prints to me now are off the open in New York stocks, because you have a lot of algos in there that are I mean, they're people that are just trading based on the opening price to say, hey, if if GE opens up at 26.90 or higher, short me 25,000 shares and 27.05 stop and a 30-cent target or whatever, and then you'll see those and then that's why I put emphasis on the close too in the New York stocks, because you have people, significant players besides the HFT guys that are trying to run the run the imbalances. I mean, those are really besides the open and the close, I mean, it's really hard to see significant prints. Also, they're just taking place on so many exchanges. I can't.
The fragmentation.
How many exchanges?
Mind-boggling. 13.
Dude,
13 public exchanges, 50 dark pools, a couple hundred internalizing broker dealers, like we've talked before. There's so many different places where you can get executed on your orders here now. The fragmented market is just insane. So it does become difficult, and obviously when when your liquidity is fragmented across that many different exchanges, you don't see size anymore. That's just it. They're breaking it up not only on the exchange themselves that they're trading on, they're breaking it up on different exchanges too. So it becomes very, very difficult to see where the real money is moving.
What do you watch? Do you watch a consolidated New York tape for the prints, or do you watch everything?
I got the CT up. They call it consolidated tape. The CT, I would call that. And I do have it up, and I do watch it. I don't put as much relevance like I did 15 years ago into it, but I still put some relevance into it. I do watch the sub-penny prints, too, because that's talking on certain stocks. That's where your internalizers, they're taking the other side of retail orders. That's when you're seeing all these sub-penny prints. And if you don't have your consolidated tape set to 4 decimal places, you're missing a lot of pricing action. It often defaults to 2 decimal places only. You need to set it to 4, and you'll actually see the sub penny pricing action, because when you see a lot of sub pennies going off in front of the bid, that means there's institutions, that means there's internalizers, and that's really the smart market makers that have a lot of information, probably even more information than your high frequency traders do, and they're sitting there and they're willing to buy it. That makes me a little bit more willing to buy it. So watching those sub penny prints actually can give you a tip off when a stock is ready to reverse. So it's a lot different than what it used to be. It's more about not looking at the size, but I often do watch the sub penny prints, because that's all your over-the-counter market makers. That's your Knights, that's your Citadels, it's your Cities, your UBSs. That's where the smart money is now, the short-term smart money. They're not long-term money, that's short-term money, but those guys are very good at predicting turns and very good at gauging supply and demand, because they often have their own book of orders too, so they can kind of fill that all out too. So they kind of can almost paint a mosaic of short-term supply and demand and really get a feel for it. And by watching those sub penny prints, it can really help there. That's our little tape tangent there, JH3. We hope
JH3, man.
You opened a can of worms with us this morning here, JH3. We better get back to the show, because everybody wants to know what else happened with the stocks.
They're all sleeping at their desk saying, "Oh,
they're like, what is this market structure stuff here at 8 o'clock in the morning after a Thanksgiving long weekend?" And you want to get that technical with us. Bottom line, set your ticker to 4 decimal places, watch those sub penny prints, and start to look at the pricing action there, and it will help. It will help. We do have a lot of upgrades and downgrades to get to here, Joel. Joe's asking about Groupon this morning, and yes, Groupon was downgraded here this morning. It is down 3.3%, down 30 cents. Goldman Sachs downgrading Groupon and OPEN. They downgraded both those stocks this morning.
Let's take a look at the pre-market trading here. Did Groupon already had earnings, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Benzinga News Desk.
Benzinga News. Let's wake up this news desk.
I believe they did. I think
Well,
see, I don't remember really back further than 3 days, so my short-term brain doesn't go back.
It's like goldfish earnings memory for
I
Dennis.
have the goldfish. Joe, that's right. I do. I have the goldfish memory. That's what I have. Other people have told me that. Even back in university when I was in there, you're like a goldfish. You can study really hard for the test. You can remember everything on the test, and then like an hour later, you don't remember any of it.
That's right. I see Groupon reporting earnings on November 7th.
Okay, so they did, Joel. So Groupon earnings long gone, and this stock kicking around the lows of the year.
Yeah, 872 is what we've hit in the pre-market, getting a small bounce up to 880, so not a lot of pre-market action. Let's go to the daily chart here. Just been kind of trying to hold that $9 levels. Been trading, did get up, traded double digits for a while, and now it was just hugging 901. I had an 893 low on Friday, so that 9 level is going to be key. It needs to get back up above that 9. We're 21 cents away from it. I'd say if it can get back today and close above 9, then I'd shrug off this Goldman Sachs downgrade. If in fact it starts to continue lower, you had a spike low in the stock going back to 860. So let's look at for that range for the next couple of days, 860 to 9. Need to get back over that $9 level, but I'm not going to fade Goldman Sachs today.
Open Table also getting downgraded by Goldman Sachs here too, and this is a stock. Ooh, look at this chart. This has had massive consolidation. You want to talk? We're talking consolidation in the S&P futures. Talk about the consolidation of this open chart, because just under $85. This stock has topped out multiple times around $84.50, $84.60. 83.57 it went out. It has not traded here this morning. It is offered at 82.69, so offered down $1 on this Goldman downgrade, and there's a double bottom down there, 82.27. What happens if we take that out?
$80.
80 bucks.
Yeah,
$80
yeah. 80.10 was your low, but look at that. That's for a pretty volatile stock. I mean, it really traded between 82 and 84 and change for how many sessions? For 7, 8, 9 sessions. Now you're getting a downgrade. Boy, that $82 level. If I was holding this thing long term, I sure would not like to see this thing under 82. You could hit 80, and then under 80, boom, 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 76. Under 76, you go to 72.
Yeah, when you have these periods of consolidation, that's why Joel focuses on them and we focus on them on the show. Because once it starts to take, one way or the other, you start getting a lot of people under significant pressure. We basically have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of open table trading really between, that lower 82 and 85. And this is a fairly volatile stock. So that's a pretty tight muted range. What happens is we always say price has memory. Price has memory because everybody that's bought the stock or sold the stock in the last 7 days has obviously bought or sold it between those prices. If it starts to get down, all those short-term players that have positions on for swing trades there are all of a sudden thinking, "Oh, I'm on the wrong side. I need to cut these losses," and they'll be looking to get out. And not only that, you then have technical traders like breakdown traders coming in and saying, "Oh, I want to get short." So it can put pressure on the stock. So that's why after periods of consolidation like this, you eventually do get some type of move in one way or another, and it can be relatively significant. And especially when you get a downgrade from Goldman Sachs, because a lot of real institutions and real money follows Goldman Sachs. They're saying, if Goldman don't like it, I don't like it. Goldman usually knows what they're talking about. So a lot of times, I know Chris was on the show. Remember, he was talking about post-earnings drift. We could talk about like post-earnings ratings moves too. And Goldman Sachs, I bet you if you did some stats on it and analyzed it, a lot of times I bet you when Goldman Sachs downgrades a stock, it often just isn't a one down day move here. So I'm kind of on the opinion that Goldman doesn't like it too. I'm kind of cautious too if I'm looking at this thing from a long perspective. That's for sure.
Have you ever used Open Table?
No, you told a story back in the day, though. I remember.
I got
What
two
was your
stories.
story? Okay, two stories. Okay,
I've
so
downgraded it twice, and you can tell what the stock has
downgraded
done.
stock went straight up.
Yeah.
What they do to make you downgrade the stock, Joel?
First time was, I believe, about a year and a half ago. I was
Wait,
up.
wait. Full disclosure here. This is Joel and technology, so take that into account before you hear this story.
True. It's
Okay,
the one that just posted up that thing without the
Joe with the second cup of coffee is coming alive. I was up north and wanted to go to some restaurant at a resort up there. So I called and for the restaurant that I wanted, and I made a reservation for 8. And we show up. It was a big complex, so we showed up. I said, "Hey, open table, reservation for 8." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, we have you over here." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? I made it for this restaurant." They're like, "Well, when you come through open table and we don't have an opening at the restaurant you're requesting, we put you in another restaurant that's available." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And it turned out to be like this super high-end place, and I just, had to throw a big stink, and I actually got another table. And then also, whenever I use open table, and then this was just a couple of weeks back in Ann Arbor, going up for a football game, made dinner reservations afterwards, and I made it for 6, and I'm like, you know what? And then I still call, because I don't believe, and I called up, they're like, "Oh, no, we don't have your reservation." I'm like, what are you talking about? So maybe, Joe, maybe you're right on the technology end, maybe I did something wrong, but I could have swear, I saw
I think you fat fingered the open table registration.
He had it too many times. Anybody else in the Benzinga office use open table ever? I have never.
I
used
have, and
And how was your experience, Joe?
I had a very positive experience.
Oh, here we go.
They called to confirm. I got emails. I got texts right to my phone. I actually just deleted the Open Table app though from my phone because I use it once a year, so I didn't see the point in having it. But I was really impressed with the service, and yeah, I think it's a great thing to have.
Stock has been good, but Goldman not liking them today. So I guess cautious to the long today. We'll have to see if it can find another period of consolidation where it could possibly reverse. But as of right now, I don't know if I love that chart. Couple other upgrades, downgrades. eBay getting upgraded at SunTrust Robinson. They're raising the price target to $61 here on eBay. Here's the stock broke through. This was one of your classic breakdowns through 50. Probably caught a lot of people leaning on the $50, and then they wanted to get out. Stock ticked down 3 days ago, got as low as 48.47, then got down to $48, 48.06. Now it has reversed eBay, and it has reversed. It's back up over the key psychological $50 level, and now with this upgrade today on 185,000 shares, holy cow, big volume. Stock is up $1.63 at 52.15.
You got some actually interesting stuff going on there with eBay. Over the weekend, we had obviously Black Friday was before we had the weekend, but there was still Cyber Saturday, which I guess they're trying to get a second major day of sales there. Channel Advisor reported that eBay's Cyber Saturday same store sales. A lot of the same syllable there. For eBay, we're up 28.1% year over year. That's massive growth from last year. We also saw Amazon was showing a gain of 23.7% year over year. Now, this is huge for both those stocks, given them a lot of strength. That upgrade is helping too. But also keep in mind, we saw a really weak report from a lot of the retailers last quarter, and they're all really leaning on this this holiday season. If the e-retailers here are just absolutely killing it, it's going to be interesting to see what that means for the brick and mortar retailers during this holiday season.
Thanks, Jake. That's great information there. So, because I was looking at eBay, I'm like, holy cow, it's a big move off of, just an upgrade there. And I was going to say maybe that's a little overdone, but now maybe not. When you hear that 28% same store sales over sales for the Cyber Saturday, what's the technical say, Joel?
Are you ready for the level of the day?
Give me the level of the day. I love the level of the day.
Well, 52.24 high in the pre-market. Okay, so we're keeping on that. And look at that juicy 52.50 level.
I do see it.
Yeah, you had a double top there on the 19th and 20th, another high at 52.69. So that is sticking out like a sore thumb. If it gets up there on this, what was SunTrust, Michael Robinson and Jones or something? Was that the place that upgraded it?
Yeah, they got a little bit of weight. They got a little bit of weight there.
Okay. I'm looking at that level. First time up, I think it's going to be an excellent place to exit long, or perhaps try a short. I mean, this is sticking out there. From above that, you got the $53 level, but it's up on decent volume. But you just, you're getting a little gift here overnight on an upgrade. Use that 5250, 5270 level wisely.
I do
You
got the
mentioned-
note from
Yeah.
Bob Pack pulled up right here. It seems like more or less a valuation call. He's saying based on market corrections of the stock price, our upgrade is predicated on two items. Consensus revenue estimates are now below the low end of 2015 guidance, and the second point is holiday season. There you go, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just saw that huge gain over the weekend, obviously coming from Channel Advisor. But if I saw a report like that and I was an analyst, I'd try to be the first on the street to say that's going to mean a strong holiday season. If I was them, at least.
Amazon, you mentioned too, Jake, and wow, I just looked at the chart of Amazon for the first time in about a week, and I was like, where is that? Kicking around probably 360, 370. It's 397.25 this morning. 4-day breakout for Amazon. How did we miss that? Holy cow. That thing's been flying here, and it's just under that 400 psychological level.
Take a look at the pre-market high, 397.43, just hanging right up there. I guess the only thing you can use here is that $400 level.
Huge, but I don't know. We're only $3 away, so we'll have to see if we can sniff above it here today.
I'm starting coverage of Amazon with a buy $400 price target.
Oh, so, what stock did you do that on like a couple months ago or something, and then it never got that? Do you remember? It was like $2 away. You're like, it's going to the big hole number. It wasn't like Google or something, or what was it? Maybe it was the Google right before it, hit $1,000 there or something. No, it wasn't Google. Which one was it?
It was Priceline.
Priceline. And what was your initiated $1,000 price or $1,100 price?
Yeah, it was like 1,100, and then it
got to 10,
it was
I see it.
yeah, I got up to 10.98 and then puked. But I was right. I only let it go like $120 against me, but eventually I was right.
Eventually, you're right. It seems like this was the market. If you're wrong on the long side, eventually it comes back here, unless it's like JCPenney or something.
Yeah,
But
just hold on. Just hold on. Buy
just
more.
hold on. Bob, just buy more. Yeah, that works in the long run. Ooh, I don't know about that. Lots of other upgrades, downgrades here. I'll just cover some quickly here. Urban Outfitters, URBN. Stern AG downgrading the stock. Is Stern AG or Stern AG? Boys?
I think we pronounce it Stern AG.
That's
Stern
correct.
AG.
Stern AG. Otherwise, you wind up with amalgamations like Sternagi, and we don't want that.
All right, Stern AG downgrading, or that's the problem is you're reading all the time, and I read Stern AG all the time, and you don't hear it pronounced. Stern AG downgrading Urban Outfitters URBN 38.67. It is offered at right now, so it is offered down 35 cents from the Friday close of 39.02. No trades yet though, so looks like we're still trying to price this thing. 37.77 is the low. I know what I'm looking at is that $38 low that we had back. We're at 37.98 on the 19th. What are you looking at, Joel?
Looking at the same thing, but Dennis, I can't believe you got the name of that company wrong.
Why?
It's Stern AG.
Hey, okay. Go ahead.
The old Canada
Pick up
AG. No, $38 is the level. You hit that about 5, 7, 8 trading sessions ago. 37.98. No trades in the pre-market here. Below $38. Not a lot of support in the 37 handle.
Triple M downgraded at Morgan Stanley. They are bucking the trend on this one because the trend has been straight up for the last 2 months for 3M. 130 hit a new high on Friday of 134.16 for closing at 133.51. It is trading down $2 here right now on this Morgan Stanley downgrade. Just ticked to 131.75.
Pre-market trading, getting a little momentum here. It's good to see a downgrade when a stock is like going, or at least they're taking profits. At least they're making a call here.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do on the street.
Yeah.
I'd be a little leery of this. It's down on very, very, very light volume here, so could have someone just painting the tape here to cover a short off the close. You did have a 2-day low at 131.94. You are through that level. Next support level, two lows between 130.94 and 31.33. So I just on this, just the way the market's feeling, the way the little volume is this, I think I'd be surprised to see this thing get to 131 today. I think we'll get a little rebound.
Quiet period over in Twitter, and you have multiple analysts coming out and initiating coverage on this stock, some with buys, some with underperforms. Who on that Benzinga news desk is going to tell us what's happening in Twitter? Who wants to jump in here? Brent, Jake?
We got
Brent's jumping in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new ratings this morning. That was the end of the quiet period for those underwriters. We got Bank of America. Wait, I'm saving Bank of America for last. Actually,
Okay.
we got let's see, we got Deutsche Bank and Goldman with the buy ratings. Goldman with the $46 target. Deutsche Bank with the $50 target, Morgan Stanley with an equal weight, JP Morgan with a neutral, and Bank of America I wanted to save for last because they started with the underperform and the $36 target.
Bank America going out on a limb here and
Yep.
saying it's going down. The price.
Sticking their neck out a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting here. Joel, what's technical saying?
Kind of lost my feel for Twitter here a little bit. Like off the off the IPO, the 50-10 high, and then that low, and then the nice 50% retracement, and now you're just kind of creeping up. You got a 3-day rally here. You did get the downgrade. I guess they were mostly negative. I'm looking at this 41.40 to 41.58 level. Those are the highs from the last two sessions. Kind of trading above that. I think I'm going to use that as minor resistance. Above that you sneak into the 42 handle, 42.28 to 49s, and now they're double top. But it just doesn't seem like the rallies have a lot of gas in this thing. It did make a new all-time low. Really muted bounce off this 38.80 level. I just kind of feel this thing's just going to trend lower. I mean, you got to expect people at least to be SOH until you get some kind of earnings news out of thing. That's not going to be for a couple months.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we obviously took out the 40. You kind of put in a double bottom down there at 38.80 and 38.92 2-3 days ago. So your bulls could argue, that we've had this double bottom put in, and now it's drifting higher here. But you also could argue that it's coming into major resistance too, around that whole $42 area. What was the price that it opened at the day of the IPO? What was the actual price that it opened?
Of course I do. We talked about that a lot. On opening,
told you, but I have a goldfish memory, so I don't.
Yeah, opening day, 45.10, and then it sprinted up to 50.09 and had a 44.90 close. So then when we had that 10-point breakdown under 40, it came back up to that level. You did on two sessions after making that low. You got above that 45.67 and 27 on 2 days, but then it was just lights out Loretta after that and back under the $40 level. But it's really calming down. And it was kind of interesting when we had Jeff Goldman on of JC Trading on Friday. I thought the day traders would be over this, trading it a lot more, and they're not. I mean, you're not getting any kind of volume that you do. I mean, they did. It's a lot of it's the result of the float and everything. But Friday was a slow day, 3 million shares. Wednesday a slow day, 5 million. But this thing is, really the volume's coming off heavy. And I would say, you take out a couple of those huge volume days, this thing might be, an equity that's trading between 5 and 10 million a day.
Yeah. It is following along with a lot of the other social media stocks here too. Like Facebook bottomed in the same time 4 days ago, kind of put in a double bottom. It's funny to look at these charts, and they're kind of similar, at least from the last 7 or 8 trading sessions. And Facebook has did catch a bid there. Obviously, it had the shakeout down, got as low as 43.55 3 days ago, and then has been the drift higher here, and it got up to $47. Actually on Friday, got up to 47.21, pulled back. It is trading down 6 cents here in the pre-market of Facebook. But some of these things, the fall has stopped. These social media stocks were weak for the last month, really. But the fall has kind of, at least, paused at least, and we have seen a little bit of life here. What's your thoughts on Facebook? Because I think as Facebook goes, I think Twitter might still go too.
Interesting. Off this 43.55 low that we had a few sessions ago, back that was last week on Tuesday. Now you're getting another bounce here, Dennis. And if you take that 49.57 high that to that low, a 6 point drop here, you're getting another 3 point bounce. The old 50% retracement theory here takes you to the 46.60 area. That was the low on Friday. We are holding above that. I'd say it holds 46.50, 46.50. We're good to go north up to perhaps up to the high 47s. But if in fact Facebook cannot hold this 46.50 area, I don't mean to scare you, you people here that own Facebook, but if you take a projection from the 55 high, let's say down to the low at 45 before it recovered, 12-point break, you take another 12 points off here, Facebook at 47.5, and you're looking at the mid 30s.
Oh man, Joel getting bearish here on individual issues too. Well, obviously we can hold above that level you're talking about. That situation might not happen, but these things obviously.
That's an ugly looking chart, Dennis. I mean, come on.
It was uglier 2 days ago. I'm not saying it's as ugly as it was. Remember, I was picking bottoms in this thing 2 days ago too. So I don't know.
About a trend line.
I'm not bullish. I'm sitting on my hands on this one. I'm going to let this thing resolve because I think we're going to get a real tell here in the next day or two. You had last week's action, which was muted on all of the issues because of Thanksgiving. Now you got real players coming in here. See what happens today once 9:30 opens and we see which way we start going. Because we reversed in like a stock like Tesla, and not that it's the same, but these are all the big movers here. They're the high flyers that drove us all year, and obviously have had a horrible month here. But Tesla reversed pretty hard off that 120. We're now up at 127 on Tesla here. So the person that was picking bottoms at 118, 119 area has actually been making some money doing that. What's your thoughts on Tesla?
We talked about the options expiration and at different levels of things, and they carved out the 130s on Friday. People got excited, had the 130 calls, got up to 130.59, and then the people that were short those things just started pounding it down, got them in the money here. You did close the gap from Wednesday's trading, so it was lower than 127 in the pre-market. You did make a pre-market low at 126.64. So I'd like to see this thing, if it doesn't hold in right here, 127, right in the open, 126.50, be a little bit worried about this sliding back down to the 120 level. If it can get going, it needs to get that close over 130 to get the Momo guys back in it.
Momo guys have moved into Apple. I'm telling you, man, this has just been an unbelievable move for Apple. We consolidated there for a long time between 510, 520, 525, and now this has been a 3-day run, incredible 3-day run, really, for Apple. It was $521 just back 4 trading sessions ago. Now, all of a sudden, the stock is a $558 stock. It's up another 2 points here this morning. The Momo guys are in Apple, and this stock is now it's at its high of the year, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah, it was 555. Took a small pause. I believe it was in Wednesday's trading at 545, which earmarked the entire 50% retracement from your 705.10 high down to the 385 and change low. 445 was on the number. It just held it there for one day. Previous high for the year was at 555. We got up to 558.33.
Wow.
Trading higher in the pre-market. We got over the 560 level here. 562 was a high in the pre-market, but I was looking at the charts on this one, and there's really no validated resistance in this thing through the rest of the 560 handle for majority of the really up to 569.25. I mean, obviously, it could get there today. It's only 10 points away.
Seems like it goes up $10 every day.
Yeah, it's gone up, but here's it.
Wow.
Just for going back to the thing that I was talking about on the S&Ps. I mean, look at that consolidate. This was the high that you had off earnings. That wild day, and they just sat there trying to make up their mind for 15, 20 trading sessions,
Yeah.
despite Uncle Carl talking about it and everything. But boy, you ever get a period of 15, 20-day consolidation in Apple, boy, you better strap on the strangles and get ready for a ride, because that was unbelievable consolidation.
Yeah, and it's been an unbelievable move after that consolidation period too. So yeah, I don't know where the party stops here on Apple. I'm going to tell you, it needs to hold 550 though. So if we do ever get a reversal day, as long as it stays, I'll say that 547.81, the low we made on Friday. That takes you a little bit through 550, because we know the bots like to take you through the stop areas there. So as long as we stay above that 547, the bulls are still definitely in charge here. And man, the bulls are really in charge right now with this thing up at 558. Google, though, was interesting because it had been moving up here in sympathy, really, with Apple for 3 days in a row, but not Friday. Friday, Google actually stopped, reversed, and kind of pulled back just a little bit there. So despite Apple having a great day on Friday, Google did not. Are we there, Joel?
I'm here.
Okay.
Good area to look at in Google. Wednesday and Friday's lows, 59.45 to 10.60. Two lows in a row. That's a double bottom. That's the level to hold. Trading up above that level in the pre-market, trading up 221. Pre-market high in the Googster right here, 1061.80. But long-term bulls, and I haven't said this in a long time, you get a double bottom after such a significant run. Also with tight ranges here, I just think under 1060 here, you could be looking at the mid 1040s. Of course, you're going to need some kind of market wipeout here, but
Yeah.
and what it had a 8-point range on Wednesday, and on 6-7 point range on Friday.
Winding up a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
that's just not right, man. That thing, the stock like that should trade, should trade 50-point range every day.
50 point. Yeah, if we were on a trade line, that'd be great for us traders there. Your investors would be like pulling their hair out trying to figure out which way it was going for that 50-point ranges. But it is consolidating here. The money, though, it's all rotation, this market, and that's how you can really tell if a sell-off's happening or not, too. When you start seeing across the board where every sector is down and everything, that's a real sell-off here. But it seems like it's just sector-specific, where money will flow out of one sector. It was flowing out of social media last month. It was moving into the financials. It was moving into some of the other defensive names, actually. But it was still moving around and staying within equities. And that's what we've been seeing, where Apple and Google, have been your new leaders, and those are the stocks that are pulling the market higher here, when some of your social media stocks have lagged just a little bit. But some of your other stocks are starting to lag even more. Look at ExxonMobil here. I know we talked about that period back in September when it had 21 out of 22 down days or something like that, or was that back in August? Yeah, when it went from $96 all the way down to $86 in a period of less than a month. Well, quietly here, this whole $96 area, we were saying how big that was for this stock, and it really failed there. And obviously the stock now $2.50 off of those highs. And looking here, we've had quite a few down days in a row here in ExxonMobil too.
Right, the Warren effect wearing off here, and what's really interesting, yeah, and the thing that was interesting too is that you had size at 96. Remember when it got up there?
Yep.
Besides the size at 96, you had the all-time high at 96.12.
It back up.
You back up, and then you went up there. You kissed it once at 96 even. Once in 95.79, and then the next day it went back up to 95.95 and made like 3-4 runs in it. And now it's starting just that slippery slope. It's filling the gap now. Now, to me, it's fairly priced now, because now it's back to where it closed when Warren came out with the disclosure. So now you've filled that gap here. Let's see if we can get a little bump off the mat here. If not, I'm looking at minor support at 92.68, major support at the 92 level, 92.07, and now also take a look at you've had the trend of 3 lower highs, so the sellers are starting to step down in the stock as well. But Dennis, before we move on to the headlines with Mighty Joe Young, and I know this is not a great looking chart here, but people like to, look at the VXX, and the VIX got so low they had to do a reverse split to get the price back up there again. So the chart is really not accurately portraying what a dormant thing this has been. But I mean, do you ever look at the VIX perhaps, as some kind of a hedge in the market, or how do you look at the VIX here?
I don't really look at it at all, to be honest with you, because I can feel, because I'm in the market, I'm trading so much, I can feel when volatile. I don't need something to tell me, that the market, the volatility is getting up here, and people are looking to protect themselves more, and the VIX is climbing. I don't even keep it up for an indicator, to be honest with you, because I can feel that. I can feel that in the trading. If you're not in the market every day, it's a good indicator. Like if you're, have a day job, obviously, and you're coming in and you just want to know, whoa, the VIX is climbing here. We're getting a little bit more choppy, a little bit more fear in the market here. It's a good indicator for that, I guess, but I don't even look at it. Don't have it on my screen. I didn't even know it split. So, that's how often I look at it. I didn't even know it reverse split there. And this is something, people want to trade this kind of stuff. I just, they just contango. There's all kinds of other stuff going on there. If you're actually, trying to make trades and stuff in this, I just don't suggest at the VXX. But, it's a good indicator, I guess, if you're not looking at the market, continuously every day.
Okay, and before we move on, there was a big move in a penny stock here. OCZ Technology Group really fell out of bed. I don't get it.
Did do some Benzinga news team did not do a bankruptcy or something? Isn't that in bankruptcy? I saw it go by last week.
Yep, confirmed.
Yeah, so just looking here at the headlines from the Benzinga Pro. Shares to resume. I'm just trying to see what day they announced that. Yeah, on the 27th, OCZ says filing for bankruptcy. Reports offer from Toshiba to buy substantially all of the assets. So I guess they're going to get something. It looks like maybe at the end of the day here. But I mean, the stock's at 11.5 cents. Is there anything, any other news we should know about this one, or is this just over?
No, it looks like. You got any more on that?
Not really, no. Yeah, I was gonna add about Toshiba, but you covered that, Dennis.
Yeah, it looks like the story's over here for OCZ shareholders. It's always a bad story, and this looks like the bad story here. So sorry if anybody owns OCZ long. Does not look good there.
I guess the only thing I just like to point out on this one, and we do get a lot of questions about penny stocks and stuff, and just a lot of times when they go through a buck, they never come back.
Yes.
Look on November 4th, had a high of 107, a low of 65 cents, closed at 72. Traded a little bit above that close over the next few sessions, but obviously someone had a strong feeling on that day. So if you are dabbling in penny stocks here at this time of the year or at any time, use that dollar. I mean, yeah, Ford did get down to 50 cents and rebounded, but that was during the financial crisis and things happened. So just kind of
a different story.
Yeah, it's a different. We're still selling a few cars, so just keep that in mind if you're messing with the penny stocks. So
there is a good stat there too, and I always mess this one up. I've said it before on the show, but I always seem to mess it up. But I believe the statistic is that when a stock loses 90% of its value, so let's say a $10 stock goes to $1 or a $100 stock goes to $10. When a stock loses 90% of its value, 10 years later, 90% of them are still down at least 90%. So that's telling you 9 out of 10 times, usually a stock when it loses 90% does not come back. That was the stat, and I don't know if the financial crisis, maybe, this was a stat from a few years ago, and maybe the financial crisis is actually skewing that now because so many stocks in 2008, 2009 did come back. But historically speaking, throughout the markets, I believe the stat is something like 90% of the time when a stock loses 90% of the value, it doesn't come back. So that's just showing you, when you are dabbling into stocks that were $10 or $20 stocks, they're under $1 now, and you're thinking, oh, it's going to go back to 20. Well, 90% of the time it probably isn't. It's probably going to maybe go to 0. So, there's a longer story there. So, but, that odd one, the one, if you can pick them right, there's still some money to be made because sometimes these things do come back. And, you might get that 1 out of 10. That might make up for all the losers too. But I always say when you're playing penny stocks, don't put any money in there. You cannot afford to lose because these things aren't investments. They are lottery tickets. They are gambling. And, in this case, obviously, CZ case you lost.
Okay, all right. We're gonna move on to the morning headlines with Mighty Joe Young.
Thanks a lot, Joel. Good to be here again on the Options House pre-market info show. Today's headlines from around the globe. Amazon is introducing Prime Air, a program to deliver packages to customers in 30 minutes or less using unmanned aerial vehicles, otherwise known as drones. Putting Prime Air into commercial use will take some number of years as we advance the technology and wait for the necessary FAA rules and regulations, Amazon announced on its website. CEO Jeff Bezos made the plan public on CBS's 60 Minutes. The octocopters will carry as much as 5 pounds within a 10-mile radius of an Amazon warehouse. However, the plan still needs approval by the Federal Aviation Administration. It will work and it will happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun, Bezos said. The program will cater to Amazon's Prime customers who pay $79 annually for access to expedited shipping and video content. Amazon currently has about 89 warehouses with plans to open 7 more in its push to compete with brick and mortar retailers. Makers Monday will be celebrated today in hopes of boosting awareness for shoppers to buy more American-made products. The campaign encourages consumers to buy from American companies whose products are made in the country. The movement's website states, "It's not a purchase, it's an investment. Buying American-made products creates jobs in America. If every American of voting age spends just $10 on Makers Monday, that adds up to $2.4 billion. The campaign was started by Shinola, a Detroit manufacturer known for its watches, bicycles, and leather journals. Well over 100 companies are officially registered on the campaign's website. Last week, BlackBerry pushed ahead with what has become one of the few areas of growth for the troubled smartphone maker, the development of its BlackBerry messaging application. BlackBerry said it was rolling out its social network BBM channels and teaming up with emerging market smartphone manufacturers to have BBM pre-installed on their devices. The social network will be built into its BBM messaging service. All Things D reports that Facebook is getting the slightest bit more nostalgic. The company is trying out a new feature inside of the newsfeed that lets users surface old Facebook posts from their timeline. Facebook confirmed the new feature as a statement. We are testing a new way to help you remember your favorite moments by making it easier to revisit previous newsfeed posts. When you click on this notice, you will see a selection of some of the top posts from your newsfeed from a year ago. This is just a small test at this stage. The feature is akin to Time Hop, a single serving app that connected users' various social media accounts and resurfaced status updates, tweets, and photos from years past. Following the release of the Nike Plus Sport Watch and Fuel Band SE smartwatch in 2013, Nike plans to launch a new smartwatch in the first half of 2014, according to sources in Taiwan's supply chain. Nike's new wearable smart device is currently under trial production at EMS firm Flextronics International, the sources added. Currently accounting for 30% of the global sports gear market, Nike has an advantage over rivals such as Adidas in the wearable smart device market, said the sources. Adidas recently released its first smartwatch, the MyCoach Smart Run, which supports iOS, Android, and Windows, priced at $399 compared to $149 for the Fuel Band SE, which only supports iOS. The MyCoach is manufactured by Taiwan-based Mitek International. Comcast, the largest U.S. cable operator, is testing new advertising technology that inserts up-to-date commercials into past episodes of TV shows that are available on demand, a development that could help television networks generate additional revenue. As people get used to catching up on or binging on older episodes of shows through online services like Netflix and Hulu, cable companies and TV networks are plying viewers with past episodes from current seasons that can be watched on demand through their cable set-top boxes. The new technology is meant to give TV networks a way to earn ad dollars from earlier episodes. Sony, under pressure to cut costs and shake up its moribund business, is looking for new blood for its board. The New York Post has learned the Japanese media and electronics giant is seeking to add at least one new director and has approached several U.S.-based media executives, according to sources familiar with the search. The company has been under attack from activist investor Dan Loeb since May, when his Third Point hedge fund proposed that Sony spin off its entertainment arm. Loeb has been seeking a seat, although it's unclear if Sony is open to the idea. BuzzFeed announced that November was its biggest traffic month ever, reaching more than 130 million unique visitors globally, according to Google Analytics. As first reported by BuzzFeed, much of this growth was driven by Facebook's recent shift towards driving traffic to quality publishers. BuzzFeed Video, one of the biggest original content creators on YouTube, reached a record high with more than 110 million video views. And over the weekend, actor Paul Walker died in a fiery crash in Southern California on Saturday night. He was in the passenger seat of a 2005 Porsche Carrera GT driven by a racing team partner that slammed into a light pole and burst into flames in the community of Valencia, Santa Clarita, about 30 miles north of Hollywood. Walker was known for films such as Varsity Blues and the Fast and Furious franchise. I did see a picture of the car afterwards, and I couldn't tell what it was, so thanks for putting that in there. On this day, today's trivia tidbit, everyone, I hope you're paying attention. On this day in 2001, Enron filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in a New York court, sparking one of the largest corporate scandals in U.S. history. An energy trading company based in Houston, Texas, Enron was formed in 1985 as the merger of two gas companies, Houston Natural Gas and InterNorth. Under Chairman and CEO Kenneth Lay, Enron rose as high as number 7 on Fortune magazine's list of the top 500 U.S. companies. In 2000, the company employed 21,000 people and posted revenue of $111 billion. Over the next year, however, Enron's stock price began a dramatic slide, dropping from $90.75 in August 2000 to 26 cents by closing on November 30th, 2001. As prices fell, Lay sold large amounts of his Enron stock while simultaneously encouraging Enron employees to buy more shares and assuring them that the company was on the rebound. Employees saw their retirement savings account wiped out as Enron's stock price continued to plummet. And this show would not be available, or would we have the opportunity without our dear friends at OptionsHouse, who will give you 150 commission-free trades when you open an account on their platform. So just look for those ads at the top of the page or over to the right. Click on them, open an account, get 150 commission-free trades from OptionsHouse, all because you listen to the show from Benzinga. And with that, we're going to send it over to Jake the Snake with this morning's movers, and that's it. What's up, Jake?
Thanks a lot, Joe. Not a whole lot. Just getting back into the groove of things after having a few days off. But figure I'll give you guys a quick update on what's moving out there in the markets this morning. We don't have a whole lot of earnings as this is a Monday, a pretty quiet Monday at that. Still waiting on FedEx numbers to come out. A little late, a lot later than expected, actually. So keeping an eye out for that. But aside from FedEx, we do have some movement in a couple of the internet retailers, including eBay. eBay had some great numbers reported from Channel Advisor over the weekend, showing a gain of over 28% year over year on its Cyber Saturday same-store sales there. eBay's up over 3.5% right now. It also caught an upgrade from SunTrust Robinson Humphrey. So keep an eye on eBay at the open. It is above the $50 level. Its last trade I'm seeing is at $52.23. High this morning of $52.30. Close around was at the close on Friday. Friday's close was $50.54. Also going to take a look at a couple of the other online retailers, including Amazon, Alpha, Mike, Zulu, November, if you're not familiar with that ticker. Stock closed at around 390, 387 on Friday, seeing a high this morning of 398.63, so couldn't quite break that $400 level. Last trade I'm seeing is at 398.17. It's also riding up on that Channel Advisor report. Amazon showed a 23.7% growth in sales for Cyber Saturday compared to 2012. So seeing a lot of growth in both of those e-retailers. Also going to take a look at Groupon. That's Golf, Romeo, Papa, November. The company did catch a downgrade this morning. The rating came from Goldman Sachs as the company dropped it to a neutral rating and a $12 or an $11 price target, my mistake. Shares hit a low this morning of 872. Last trade I'm seeing is at 885. Seeing closer over $9 on Friday. So a big drop there below a psychological level. Joel, do you think we're hitting some rough waters here now that we're below that key $9 level? Do you think this is just a buying opportunity? What are you thinking here? I mean, Goldman Sachs' price target is still at $11. It's still pretty above this, despite them putting it at a neutral.
I'm focusing on that $9 level. We did talk about that earlier in the show. I mean, you do get a big gun. I don't understand these things. If you're downgrading it and you still got an $11 price target, then it's kind of like kissing your sister. It's nice, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, if they think it's going back up to 11, from this area, then why downgrade it? I mean, you've already, we're at that price target. So I'm just looking at the $9. It gets back today, especially today. If it gets back above and holds a $9 level, then I'd still be positive on the stock, but not until it does that.
We're also seeing Twitter as a battleground this morning. That's Tango Whiskey, Tango Romeo. Company it passed the lockup expiration for all the underwriters, so they're all coming out releasing ratings on the name. I'll let Brent cover those ratings when it comes to the rating summary, but safe to say that we had a slew of neutral initiations, a couple of buy initiations, and even a underperform initiation, I believe. So shares have been ticking all over the place this morning. I've seen them down about 0.1% right now. They closed at 41.57 on Friday. Last trade, I guess I'm seeing is at 41.59, so slightly up from Friday. We did have a high this morning of 41.84. Twitter's been kind of melting up for the last 4 sessions since it hit a low of 38.80 intraday. So shares have still been kind of battling around that $40 level. So keep an eye on Twitter with on that news. We also had a report from Dow Chemical that the company is going to be spinning out its commodities chemical business this morning. It's going to be it's aiming to sell it for about $5 billion. And while the company CEO was on Squawk Box this morning, basically said that while the business is high margin, it's not necessarily a growth sector. And with the low price in petroleum chemicals right now, you're going to see a increased margin in the business, but it's not exactly a growth business, more of like a dividend style, segment. Companies looking to hit more into growth sectors and start hitting some serious growth. So they're going to use the proceeds to reinvest in the company. Traders do seem to be liking it as they're bidding it up this morning. This isn't a sale, keep in mind. This is an announcement that they're planning to sell it. So we haven't actually had a $5 billion bid yet, but that's what they're expecting to net from it. We saw a high of 39.60 in the pre-market. I see the most recent trade of 39.55. Closed Friday just above that $39 level. Looks like at 39.06. Joel, what do you think of Dow Chemical here? It's a pretty big move. $5 billion in proceeds. It's a lot that they could reinvest in the business if they do have indeed do have quite a plan for it. What do you think about this?
And this is they're getting out of they're selling their commodity business, right?
Yeah, their commodities chemical business. Allowing them to kind of get into more more growth sectors is what they're trying to hop into, I guess.
A couple different takes on that. I mean, I think it's good to be getting out of the commodity business. I mean, we could pull up the CRB index or any of the individual commodities that they were dealing with. There certainly has not been any kind of life in those. Of course, maybe they could have gotten 10 billion for it, a couple years ago. But from that perspective, I think it's great for this Midland, Michigan company to diversify and see what they can do with the money. Looking at look at the chart here to see if we're getting any pre-market action off this. I mean, it's always a good thing putting money in the coffers. So it's trading up 50 cents here in the pre-market. Looking at the pre-market activity, not a ton of volume, 39.60 high. But I'd like to alert our traders here to a significant level in this stock, and bada boom, bada bing, it's right there, 39.70 to 39.77. Actually, 39 multiple tops up here at this 39.70 area. So if it gets through there, I think you off to the races here. Perhaps test 40 and beyond. But that's pretty formidable resistance here. You did have 3 higher lows. Looks like that trend's going to continue today. But 39.70, 39.75. Major resistance.
Another stock I want to bring up this morning is Ariad Pharmaceuticals. This one's been trading all over the place after getting knocked down as low as $2.15 earlier in November. It has been on a rally the last, about 5 sessions. Hit a high of $5.90 last week. We're seeing this morning has broken above the $5 level once again. Seemingly no news on the names, just tracking up as traders are getting bullish on it once again. It hit a high of 525. Last trade I'm seeing is at 504. So looks like it may be coming back down to test that level. It's up almost 4%. Joel, here's another one I mean, this has got to be just technical at this point. You don't have any news anymore. You've already gotten all the news on this one, about was it 2 weeks ago, and now it's just traders deciding what they want to do with it, just kind of kicking this name around. I know it's a pharma stock, so it's not exactly as logically traded as other stocks, but what do you think of ARIA here? It's Alpha Romeo India Alpha.
Yeah, this one has been moving on the news here. It had that terrible. I mean, it's moving up. I mean, so you can't. It's a lower price stock, so people are looking at this as something they can put in their hip pocket and ride. They're not really worried about the downside. I'd see really nothing coming up in this thing up to the 610, and that was a high down on the gap down day. And I don't know, maybe Joe, you can remember this, but I can remember that just a few days after that thing took the shellacking, that one of the companies, might have been Piper, came out, correct me if I'm wrong, and defended the thing. So the trend is turning up here. They're going to have to obviously, prove it to the street with earnings. You had a 562 high in the issue, trading in last week, so should be interesting. If this thing did get back above the $6 level, I mean, I think you could really have some good action in it. But shorter term, looking at 562, coming back on the downside here. You had a low at 414 2 days ago, so just keep moving your stops up in here, and see if they can come out with some good news for the street.
Also have Merrimack Pharmaceuticals moving up this morning. That's Mike Alpha Charlie Kilo. Company didn't have a whole lot of news. It announced a collaboration pact in nanotechnology, but that was back on the 26th. Nothing big this morning on the wires, but it is moving up. We saw a high this morning of $4.30. Last trade I'm seeing is at 421. It closed Friday at 394, so it's broken above that key $4 level. It's up over 7% in today's session. It's been really rallying up. It was since back roughly the 15th. It's been rising ever since then. On the 15th, it was as low as 245. Now it's above $4.20. Joel, what do you think of this one? It's Mike Alpha Charlie Kilo Mac. It's an interesting rally in the last 10 or so sessions. Just kind of melting up there too.
You got a string of multiple, higher highs and higher lows and higher closes. I just would go back to this whole $4 level. That was like just really stubborn when you go back into September and October. You are trading above it in the pre-market, so I'd say you press higher, you get the close above $4. Last time you had a close at $4 was in October, and the stock tanked off that. So I think that's going to be really a key level to look at over the next few trading sessions.
Another one we want to take a look at is Cobalt Energy, or Cobalt International Energy, my mistake. Charlie India Echo is the ticker there, and it confirmed a significant pre-salt discovery at one of its offshore mines in Angola yesterday morning. Despite this, it is down a little over 1% this morning. It closed at $22.23 on Friday. We saw a high in the pre-market of $23.02. It spiked as low as $21.50. It's now sitting at exactly $22. Kind of trying to decide which side of that level it's going to hit. This one's been trading all over the place with just basically oscillating throughout the entire month of November with lows falling as low as about $21.50 and hitting as high as $23.30. So not pretty tight range there. Joel, what do you think of this one? Cobalt's one of those energy names. Charlie India Echo is a ticker here. Development stage company operates independent oil-focused exploration and production. Announces a new field finding, and yet it's trading down in the pre-market. Joel, you think this is technical? Is it just kind of buy the rumor, sell the news? What are you thinking here?
It's weird that the news comes out like that and is actually trading lower. Let's look at the pre-market trading. Not a lot of volume, just scraping around the $22 level. So I'd keep an eye on that. Steep sell-off late in the day. On Friday, you had, well, actually, it's been pre-market trading that they've been taking this down. So maybe they didn't find enough. I don't know. I'm just not too happy with it. Holding, I'd still call the $22 level support here, below 22. You did have another low at 21.80, and the low of the move being 21.53. But when a company comes out with supposed good news and moves down, not a good sign.
Definitely not, Joel. The last one I want to take a look at this morning is actually news coming out of Amazon, but fueling a couple of other companies here. Amazon's trading up on the news of its great sales this weekend, but it did announce that new quadcopter delivery program. They're going to use drones, well, they're experimenting at least, with using drones to deliver goods from its Amazon Prime service. Now, there are a couple of companies out there that are drone providers, including AeroVironment and iRobot. iRobot's ticker is India Romeo Bravo Tango. I can pull that chart up for you to see if it's moving right now. But let's see, and we also had AeroVironment, Alpha Victor, another one to take a look at. That's another drone maker. So AeroVironment is ticking up slightly in the pre-market. We're seeing it in the high of 30.75, closed just above $30 on Friday. So interesting thing to look at here with all these drone companies. Let's see, I could pull up iRobot for you guys too. India Romeo Bravo Tango. iRobot has not moved yet. AeroVironment did tick slightly higher on the news. If Amazon did deploy a program like this within the 2 or 3 years that they're talking about, that obviously make them produce a large number of these drones. So that's something to take a look at. Both those companies could be something to watch at the open. But I don't know, Joel, if you want to comment on either iRobot or AeroVironment. I know they're both kind of thinly traded there. AeroVironment being Alpha Victor, and iRobot being India Romeo Bravo Tango.
So the drone, so what do? They just like put the package on the drone and they give the address and it flies to the house and drops
absolutely.
off?
They'd have
idea.
they'd have like a little local warehouse, and they take a little box. It can only carry up to 5 pounds, I guess. So let's say you buy an iPhone, they throw the thing into the little the basket that's carrying, just like a box, and then it comes in and flies right to your doorstep, and there's your drone. And maybe everybody starts having a little shelf outside their window or something like that your drone lands on. Then I saw somebody on Twitter commenting that now there's a new fun game, shoot down a drone and get a prize. So I think there might be some mischief coming from this one.
The future is now.
Well, I don't think they'll be delivering like any china or any glassware in that. I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical on that. I guess the street is too, as these stocks have. This first looking at iRobot, and just Jake, I want you to know you're the king of obscure tickers and companies today, because I'm like, what is he talking about? I thought you were still on vacation. But taking a look here, this stock, first looking at iRobot here, major resistance at 33.50, two highs 33.43, 33.44, and 53. If it can clear that level, you can get up to the $34 level. Support equally as well defined. You had three lows right around the 32, 38 to 59 area. So kind of been in the range last couple days. I get a little bit excited above 33.50. Then looking at AVAV, the other drone carrier of packages. I see a lot of liability in that. I don't know if I'd say, you know what, could you just have the mailman deliver it to me? But this thing, 30.49 to 30.55, double top there. You are breaking above that now, so this thing is running. This looks like a little bit better of a chart. Is looking at the longer term, you have to go out a little bit farther here to find some resistance in this thing. Did hit the $32 level. Had a nice 2 months in a row. Hit 31.87 back in February, and also 32 even in January. So that'd be a couple of the a couple of levels that I would look at in these issues.
Well, with light earnings and fairly light news, we did have a couple of news items come out over the weekend, of course. But on Friday, we didn't have any equity analyst reports for the United States sector. So, expecting a lot of reports this week, and I know that they're kicking around some stocks this morning. So, I'm going to hand it over to Brent if he's ready to rock and roll for the morning's ratings summary. I know that there's a ton of ratings out there, all many of them very significant. Brent, you ready to rock and roll?
Yep, I like rock and roll,
Take it away.
and I'm ready to do it up. All right. Let me start with I got a preview for earnings this week. I also got a preview of some of the economic data points traders should be looking out for this week. But I'm going to save those for a minute. I'll hit you with the top upgrades this morning that the street is responding to. As we talked about a little bit earlier, SunTrust, Robinson Humphreys, Bob Peck did upgrade shares of eBay from neutral to buy. Bob Peck maintaining a $61 price target on shares of eBay. JP Morgan upgrading shares of Monster Beverage, MNST, from neutral to overweight, boosting that price target from $70 to $74. Also at JP Morgan, an analyst upgrading shares of Knight Transportation, KNX is the ticker, from neutral to overweight. And the last top upgrade of the morning, Deutsche Bank upgrading shares of Marathon Petroleum, that is ticker MPC, as in Charlie, up to a buy rating. Price target there raised from $80 all the way to $100. Some of the top downgrades for this session: Morgan Stanley analyst downgrading shares of 3M, that is ticker triple M, from equal weight, slapping the underweight rating on their price target lowered just a buck from 123 to 122. Analysts at Stern AG downgrading shares of Urban Outfitters from buy to neutral, reducing that price target from $45 to $42. Morgan Stanley downgrading shares of Dover Corp, Delta, Oscar Victor, from overweight to equal weight, and boosting the price target there from $93 to $94. And one more at Morgan Stanley, Drillquip set his ticker Delta Romeo Quebec downgraded from equal weight to underweight. The analyst there from Morgan Stanley maintaining a $113 price target. We did talk a bunch about the quiet period expiration on shares of Twitter. Let me go over those really quickly, just a little review. We did have a number of other stocks that also were getting hit with these quiet periods expiring. We have one, two, three, I'm counting 7 other stocks that also are going to be getting a bunch of coverage this morning because that quiet period expired. Shares of Twitter getting buy ratings at Deutsche Bank and Goldman Sachs. Deutsche Bank setting a $50 target there, getting a neutral or the equivalent rating at Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan, and then Bank of America initiating shares of Twitter with a underperform rating and a $36 price target. Also, some of the new coverages this morning: Wix.com, ticker Whiskey India X-Ray, getting, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new ratings this morning. I see all buy or equivalent ratings. We have new coverage from Bank of America, JP Morgan, Oppenheimer, RBC, and Needham. Once again, all the firms starting shares of Wix.com with a buy or outperform or overweight rating. Also having new coverage on shares of Barracuda Networks, ticker Charlie Uniform Delta Alpha. I got 6 new ratings this morning. Looks like these are all pretty bullish. Also, JMP looks like it is the only analyst firm which is not starting the stock with a buy rating. They are starting with this is a market outperform rating. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 firms starting bullish ratings on shares of Barracuda Networks this morning. We have a price target high at $28. The low there is $25 for those new coverages. Also looking at shares of Norcraft this morning, November Charlie Foxtrot Tango. We have a buy rating from UBS, an outperform rating from RBC, and 2 hold ratings at Deutsche Bank and KeyBank. One more, LGI Homes, Lima Golf India Hotel. A lot of bullish analysts on this name. We have Deutsche Bank with a buy, Bank of America with a buy, JP Morgan with an overweight, and JMP with an outperform rating. Price target there ranging from 18 to 19 bucks, pretty tight range there in shares of LGI Homes, Lima Golf, India Hotel. Couple of earnings to look out for this week. Actually, we are still waiting on FedEx. Not seeing this report. The company was scheduled to report. I might have to look into this one a little bit more, see what the delay is for. Tomorrow we're going to get an earnings report from United Natural Foods. UNFI is the ticker there on Wednesday. Jumping back into some of the retail, we're going to have earnings out of Aeropostale, Christopher Banks, and Express. And also for all the mattress stock junkies out there, Mattress Firm will be on Wednesday. That is Mike Foxtrot, Romeo Mike. Going to see the peers in this group moving on this name. Those stocks trade relatively close together. Watch out for Tempur Sealy. Also, Select Comfort, SCSS. On Thursday of this week, we're going to be getting earnings out of Dollar General, Diamond Foods, Kroger, Pacific Sunwear, Joseph A. Bank, and Finisar, one of those plays on the optical sector. On Friday, we're going to get earnings out of Big Lots and American Eagle AEO. Let's take a look at some of the economic data points that we're going to be getting this week on Monday. That's today. ISM Manufacturing coming up at 10 in about, what's the math there? In about 41 minutes, we're going to be getting that ISM reading. Also going to get a reading on construction spending at 10 this morning. Tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll be getting ISM reading for the New York region. That will be at 9:45 a.m. tomorrow. Also, we'll be getting data out of the auto sector, expecting Ford, Chrysler, GM, Toyota vehicle sales data tomorrow. On, let's see, Wednesday, ADP employment, ISM non-manufacturing, new home sales, and later in the day, I believe it is around 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be getting the Fed's Beige Book. On Thursday, tune in for those initial jobless claims and also the continuing claims which come with that report. Also, we'll get the second reading on GDP. I believe that is for Q3. Let me double check that. Yes, Q3 second reading on GDP. And then factory orders at 10 a.m. on, that is Thursday. On Friday, heads up a big jobs report. Non-farm number currently indicated at 180,000. The private sector looking for job growth around 175,000, and the unemployment rate is expected to tick just a tad lower to 7.2%. That is on Friday of this week. We'll be getting some jobs data. Big report there. I think that about finishes it up for my little skit there.
Okay, that
We got
sounds.
about 10 minutes before the open. I think that's given you ample time to get a few issues in. Joel, we did have a few questions. Looks like DJ was looking at Sarepta, also looking at Ruckus Wireless, and then Kyle was looking at the old Dow, DOW.
Yeah, see if you can see what the ruckus is about this Ruckus Wireless. It is trading up, but first I wanted to address JH3's question here on BKCC as a potential dividend play. That thing has a healthy dividend of over 10% here. Nice dividend, so you do get a point of downside protection here if you're buying the issue at this level. Some of the income trusts and preferreds have been coming back recently, but you still have the concern about interest rates when you're playing in issues like this. And you can take a look at a couple other issues that really they're not exactly the same as this company, but they are very interest rate sensitive. You take a look at NLY here, very volatile stock. Not a good looking chart here. It did get a little bump over the last few days, but really ever since the Fed gave some preliminary hints a while ago, the market has come back. But there's still that elephant in the room about interest rates going up. Another stock in that same sector, AMTG here. This stock is kind of been consolidating here. The chart looks a little bit better than the one of NLY, but just the whole thing with BKCC, which has had a major run here. I mean, if you wanted to play this, I see it is going ex-dividend on December 18th, so this is having quite a nice dividend run. If you would have been playing this back at the consolidation period in middle of November, I would have been a little bit more bullish in it, but looks like some people have been playing this ahead of the dividend here. So maybe what I would wait, if you're trying to accumulate this stock, maybe let it watch the price activity going into ex-dividend. Let it shave a buck off it. Get the consolidation period, and maybe play it towards the next dividend. I'd be a little bit skeptical here buying it at this level. DJ, good to see you back here, and we can talk about the Sarepta. I believe it's Sarepta Therapeutics. That's correct. Stock came out, got slapped in the face by the FDA. Just was all over them. Spiked down day, just volume. Just blew the doors off of people. Obviously, shorts use that opportunity to cover, and perhaps you had some new longs coming into the market as the volume really spiked during those couple days, and now you kind of started a slow roll north here. So, I mean, you could argue that those monster volume days back on the 12th and 13th had put a bottom in the stock, and now it's just been a nice slow rise up. So, if you're looking to enter this issue at this level, I mean, you got to realize where the low of the move was, still $7 lower. So it could be a thing where you want to piecemeal into it. And then I can't remember every Barron's article, but I think it was last week, they came out and said, hey, things were a little bit overdone with this company. You could get some good news at this thing and then tack on another 5 or 10 points. I mean, don't know if I could honestly say I want to be long it. Just with this kind of pattern, I wouldn't want to be shorted. I mean, the chances of the SEC or the FDA coming out again and smacking it is not great. So just looking really short term now. I mean, you have come up $7 basically from that 12.35 low. If it does finally make a double top or something and starts to peel back, maybe a real cautious place, to enter this would be perhaps, a 7-point move, 3.5, 50% retracement. Maybe if this thing could get a pull back to the $15.60, $16 area, could be a potential area. But a lot of times, when you get this spike down like this and then the slow roll up, it doesn't give you a chance to get back in. But that's something just something to take on that. And then the other one was the two issues you mentioned here. Ruckus Wireless. This is a nice looking chart. Brent, did you find anything on them this morning?
I did, absolutely. It looks like late Friday there was a upgrade from Goldman Sachs. So that'll definitely do it. Takes it from neutral to buy, maintaining an $18 price target on Ruckus.
Okay, well, there's your driver for it, DJ. Looking at the pre-market trading here, you have hit 1370 and 1370, 1372. Someone is making a little stand here, and the reason they are is because going back back to the beginning of the month, you had multiple highs between 1362 and 1370. Backed off that right there, off the 1370 level. I think you clear that. I mean, you've had 4, 5, 6 tops in that area. It's up to 14. You had a 14 high back on November 5th. He had a 1406 high, so a lot of room to get back here off this 1843 high down to the recent low. So you can do the math on DJ and see where the 50% retracement would take that to. I mean, you also got Goldman Sachs hopping on the bandwagon there, so you definitely have a couple positive catalysts for the stock, at least in today's trading. Just taking a look at a couple stocks that we didn't get a chance to cover, but got some love in Barron's here. See if we can pull up the COF here, Cap One Financial. Talked about a lot of positive developments that could be coming for that company. Well, people are taking that to heart here into pre-market, trading up $1. Made a high at 72.83. Not a ton of volume. Let's go to the daily charts here, and you got a nice juicy level here to take a look at. 72.99 was your high on October 18th. So we will keep on that. That's major resistance. That was the high, like I said, October 18th. And if we go longer term in this issue, I'm not sure if that's an all-time high, but very well could be. So really the only number up there we're looking at is 72.99. A little skepticism in Barron's on SCTY here. Solar City, these stocks have traded ridiculous valuation, so it's easy to pick at them. But the trend on this thing, it has overall has been up here since October. Had a nice pullback. You're trading down in the pre-market here, trading down $1.32. I would look for 49. That's still $2 away here. 49 and a quarter. Let's just look at the pre-market trading. These things are all over the place. Pre-market low 50.70, 20 cents above that. So looking to call that minor support.
Yeah, that thing was up 20% to close last week's trading session. From the Tuesday low to Friday's close, it was more than 20%. So I mean, if you ask me, 2.5% on a negative Barron's mention, that doesn't seem like a lot of downside, really. I feel like.
Well, it's getting a little boost here, but let's get to where the action is, and the action is in the S&P 500 this morning. We had talked about the multiple closes at the 1801 and a quarter to 1804 level. Now that is holding up here in the pre-market. We're trading a couple bucks up here, so just $1 away from the pre-market high, which was 1807.75. So that's our first objective. On the upside, above that, you have the only number you have is the Friday side, and the all-time high at 1812.50. And then we'll see if we come down to the support level at that multiple close area. Let's see if we can hop on a couple issues here that we covered during the show. The downgrade, the big downgrade by Goldman Sachs and shares of Groupon here. Let's see how Goldman Sachs is winning this battle here. The stock has opened lower, has continued lower. The pre-market trading in this one was a very good indicator for the stock. It took it through that critical support at the $9 level. Had a pre-market low of 871, I believe, and it took it right through that. In fact, if you were using that pre-market low as a place to initiate a short, if you were quick off the bat here, you got it. So 875, Goldman takes it through the $9 level. Looking at the chart here, we'd have to go out longer term here. We'd have to go back all the way to July, and we will see that there was a low at 826. That's 14 cents away from the current low, but that could be the next objective on the downside over the next few days. Let's see what other issues did we cover today, guys. You're going to have to help me. There was so many out there. Oh, we talked about multiple coverage in Twitter and how the analysts were, reiterating buys or sells on this. The only thing we really told traders about was there's a potential double top at 40 in a 41 handle, 41.40, 41.58. Boom. We busted through there, have hit the $42 level. In fact, the low was where that double top was. So as long as Twitter holds that 41.50 level, should be good to move up into the 42s. Below 41.50, I don't think this is one I'd want to be holding on to on the long side.
How about some Facebook, Joel? I know we were chatting about that one as we were talking about Twitter also. Looks like it's bouncing here.
Yeah, Facebook is getting a nice pop here. We talked about that 46.50 level. It's made a 46.89 low or 46.50 low on Friday. Closed at 47.01. Getting a move up here. We have tested Friday's high by 3 cents. 47.18. That 47.21 high here. Also had a high at 47.27. So Facebook running into some resistance here. Did get the nice pop off the open, but so I think it's going to have a hard time today cutting through these multiple highs between 47.27, 47.50. So potential areas of resistance coming up in Facebook. We'll have to take a look at that before we close out the show. Apple continuing its Momo run here was 559.74. We're trading at the high of the day here. Not a lot of resistance. This is new yearly highs for the stock. Looks like we got some managers that want to own Apple, have Apple on the books starting the new year. So let's keep an eye. I actually don't have any major resistance in the 560 handle for Apple. I don't know if it could tack on 10 points for the fourth day in a row, but we'll certainly keep an eye on it. Other stocks here that did get some coverage during our morning show, and we were just talking about this for DJ here. Ruckus Wireless here. Hitting that resistance level that it also hit in the pre-market. Let's see if it has enough momentum to get through it. Yep, hit 1370 on the nose. We had talked about the multiple highs at that area, so hasn't had the momentum yet to get that 1370. But keep an eye on that one. DJ is a potential breakout for that stock. And also JH3 was looking at BKCC for a dividend play. That stock has been moving up ahead of its ex-dividend date. Big run going into December 18th in here. So we'll see if it can hold in here. Don't like to see that much of a run on a low price stock ahead of the dividend date. So we'll keep an eye on that. Google, which had made a double bottom at the 1060 level, couple quiet days of ranges there, has held it off the hop here, now moving higher. Only 2 levels on the upside to look at for Google. You are trading, well, you did miss Friday's high by 30 cents. 1066.35, 1066.62 is your resistance point. All-time high in that 1068. Apple back in the 560 handle here, up $5, so certainly on its way to another strong day. Shares of Microsoft here, and if anybody cares, I believe this is the highest the stock has traded going back to, back in April, on April 28th of 1999. The stock traded 38.92. Recent high of the move was 38.22. High today at 38.49. So whoever's taken over Microsoft, they really don't care. The stock has been having a nice run and is looking to close out the year on a strong note. Dennis was just talking about looking for sector rotation, and Procter and Gamble, which has had just a tremendous run here. It's cut through the support at the $84 level. This is not a good looking chart here. So shares of Procter and Gamble need to get back above 84 here to get a rally. Johnson & Johnson trading down the session, but not as much. So not a all-out rout of the defense stocks, but definitely some pressure on Procter and Gamble.
Joel, I was pretty interested by the Amazon move toward those drones. Let's see how shares of AeroVironment open. Maybe also check out iRobot. I know AeroVironment is a little more focused on what I believe Amazon would be doing. So that one's probably moving a little bit more than the iRobot, but worth a look on both of them.
Well, if you were quick on the what a great name for this stock, AeroVironment, huh?
Yeah, it's clever.
I mean, if they could beef up those drones, maybe they can go like grocery shopping for you and like get all your
That's the
groceries.
next
Or if you want to buy a car or something, they can go pick it up and deliver it for you. But the stock opened low. It opened at 30.50 and then got a sprint up higher to 31.50. Trading below the mid-range on the day at 31. So I'd sure like to see that get back over 31 and challenge the high. Coming back on the downside, that 30.50 is a good number because Friday's high and Thursday's high were right in that area. And now that old resistance is holding as support. Let's take a quick look. Steve Lamb here, a new participant in the Options House chat room. We surely want to get a look at ARTM here. Wow, man.
ATRM.
Oh, man, am I...
Atrium.
Okay, I got the symbol right. Just a little dyslexic this morning, but boy, this is like the day of obscure symbols, and wow, this thing
Why not?
I don't know what catapulted this thing from 4 to 12 here over a few trading sessions. Did get the pullback day. It's kind of a wide range, but two lows between 816 and 842. Also, if you just take a look at this move from just over 4 to just over 12, 8-point move. Half of that is for this $8 level. I'd say as long as this thing, it's trading smartly above 8 here, I look at for, go back up and probably test that high here. You had a high at 1093, but wasn't sure what the catalyst was, but it's working. I'd really like to see it hold the $8 level. Maybe if you get a couple after the big run-up day and then the sell-off here, perhaps, Steve, if you can get a day or two of consolidation or a day or two of inside days there, you might get a key there to the next move. But powerful move and giving a little bit of it back. And what also is giving it back is Twitter here, now trading down 50 cents on the day. Hit the $42 level, quickly reverse course. Same with your Facebook, got within a few cents of Friday's high. That's pulling back now to Friday's low, 46.50. So folks aren't in love with these social media stocks here yet this morning. Also talked a little about the Tesla monster here. Got snuffed at 130 on Friday, got up to 130.59. Had a weak pre-market, took out Friday's low, but it's just struggling back here. Really, you're going to need some good news out of the stock. Not sure what it's going to be. Maybe a car not catching on fire for a couple weeks, but you really need to get that move over 130, close above 130, get excited about this stock. Getting back just to the overall market here, we do talk about the pre-market highs and pre-market lows. Well, that pre-market high of 0775 is holding up so far. We've only gotten to 07 even. Now the big question is, can we hold the multiple close levels here right around 1801 and a quarter to 18050. 5 closes in a row. I mentioned that to you folks. So staying above that $1,800 level is key. Apple on its way to another 10-point update, I guess here, up already $7 in the session. Just earmark a 569 a quarter is a high there in the issue. That's another $6 away, but hey, the way this thing's moving, who knows? I want to talk a little bit about Warren stock here. I'm not sure many of you traders trade the Brick B or the Brick A. The Brick A is only like a $80,000 stock or whatever, but I've noticed just looking at the charts of this stock, it just seems to take one direction off the open, and very seldom changes course. Found multiple resistance just under 117, three tops between 1684 and 1697. Lower on the session today, 1655 high. I did get minor, got supported that 116 level, had a 1596 low, 1609 low. So Sig needs to hold 116 here. We could easily slip back into the lower 115 handle. I see a low at 115.38. And that was going back on last Monday. So there's a level to keep an eye on.
Joel, check out the chart on eBay.
eBay, okay.
Yeah.
Let me. Well, I know 5250 was a big number. Did it just obliterate it? Yeah, it opened up.
Charged right through there, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, they came out with some good holiday sales here. 5250. Let's look at the dailies here. You did have all those tops. You have cleared at the 5250 level. Looking at 5312, which was a high in November 15th. But if you're getting giddy about this thing on the long side, it did open up near the low, 5221, 15 low, and rallied. But still would not like to see this thing trade back under 5250. It could get easily a pullback, and then you got almost a $1.25 gap to fill in the issue.
I see a high of 53.08 this morning. Would you feel any better on it if it was holding over 53 here? Did that do anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's had now 53 is not as significant to me as that 5250 level, because you did have the triple top there. So 53, I'd say 53.18. Now if you get above that 53.18 high, that's a little bit different. But why don't we see if it closes above 5250 today? Well, if we don't have any questions coming out of the chat room, thanks for the input today, and a big shout out to OptionsHouse. Click the banner at the top of the page and get 150 free trades. To close out, S&P's slow leak here, losing altitude here, coming into a major support level that we have identified on the show. So see if I can actually correctly call top of the market. Brent, you want to give any previews for tomorrow?
It's pretty quiet tomorrow. There's not a ton going on. Let me pull up my little doc here, just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Not really. I don't think anything's worth a mention.
Okay, folks, have a good trading day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.